Hi, my name is Leah Day, and today I'd like to share with you exactly what I'm working on my sewing machine right now. I am working on the Duchess Reigns, which is a huge whole cloth quilt that I started back in the summer of 2012, and I'm just now getting to the point of quilting. Now the quilting that I'm doing today is kind of special. It is the first step to Trapunto, so I'm stitching in water-soluble thread. That means that I can get away with a lot of things like breaking my thread and hopping over areas simply because I know that this thread's going to wash out later on. And the reason I'm using water-soluble thread is because all I'm doing is stitching the top of the quilt to the batting and holding it in place long enough so I can clip the extra batting away so that the batting that's left is left only in the areas I want puffy. And that's what Trapunto is. This is the first step. It's just an extra step to make certain areas puffier, and then in the finished quilt they're going to stand out that much better. So you can see right now this is a white quilt. She's not going to be white whenever we finish, but more on that later. Today I want to show you quilting feathers, how I quilt feathers, and I really want to show you and demonstrate how I've kind of changed up feathers for myself and finally started mastering stitching them backwards. Because they're marked, they're a little bit easier to stay right on that line. So let's get started. So here we go on the machine, and I've already stitched the stem of this feather. And you can see down here I'm kind of getting off of the marked lines, and that's mostly because I'm wanting these to expand a little bit bigger. But through here I am going to stay right on those marked lines just so that way everything stays under control and I can stitch up to this point and come all the way back, stitching these feathers backwards. So here we go. I do travel back feathers. That means I travel along the back of the feather and swing out and around and come back to the stem. And it's the same repeated set of steps. You know, always traveling back, up and around. And that's why I like that particular feather. There's a lot of different ways to quilt these. More ways than you can count probably, because every designer, every instructor, every quilter seems to stitch them a little differently. But this is the way that works best for me, simply because they always, it's always the same repeated steps and always the same motion over and over again. And you can see I'm even expanding these a little bit simply because I can't seem to control myself with feathers. I always like them to be a little bit bigger than what I designed. Okay, with these I am going to be careful to stay right on the line simply because I'm going to come up. We'll see a light again. I didn't stay on the line. I'm going to come up and swing down and in, and that to me just, it feels very difficult for me to stitch that way, that shape. And of course I know it looks easy and I know it looks like I'm staying right on the line, but it feels as awkward as writing my name with my opposite hand, my non-dominant hand, simply because I want to pull those feathers up and out, and I like the other movement, the opposite side movement. But you know, it's a testament to learning new techniques. With this quilt forced me to master this shape of feather simply because there's so many of them. I was breaking thread constantly to move around, and I realized that that was just not going to work. I was going to have to learn how to stitch them backwards just like this. So there you have it. Learning is a continual process. No matter what skill level you are of a quilter, you're always going to be challenged to learn new things with every single quilt. This quilt is challenging me to learn feathers in a new way and to start trying to keep them exactly the way I marked them, which can be tricky. So that's what I'm working on today. What are you working on today? I really hope that you'll get on your sewing machine and quilt something beautiful. Until next time, my name is Leah Day with the Free Motion Quilting Project. Let's go quilt.